everyone, this is Anna Alexander, and this is Dish About the Dish, where the foods we eat tell the stories of our lives. So a few weeks ago, I was talking to Cait way out in Scotland, and I developed the biggest craving for scones. So I figured what better time than now than to share with you my favorite scone recipe. So grab pencil and paper, and let's go. The recipe I'm going to share with you today is the King Arthur Flour Fig and Almond Scone that was in like their monthly mailer catalog. I don't know how many years ago, but I tore it out and I kept it with me forever. So as always, we've got our mise en place here ready to go. So let's go over the ingredients really fast. So we have our all-purpose flour, some sugar, our baking powder, salt, butter, cream, I'll get back to that later, our 2 eggs, some lemon zest, we have both almond and vanilla extract, and then finally our figs and our almonds. So these are whole almonds that we've given a rough chop to, and some dried figs, which are so plump and moist and jammy, and the smell brings you, reminds me of my childhood. I love dried figs, they are delicious. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sift together our dry ingredients here off to the side. So our flour, our sugar, our baking powder, and our salt. And as always, the list of ingredients will be down below. So next we're going to add in our butter, and you're going to want to break this down. So with this recipe, as we talked about with Cait, the ingredients in Scotland are not going to be the same ingredients you get into the United States. You are what you eat, and the cows there eat different grass than the cows out here wherever you may be. So the milk results in cream and cheese, it's going to taste different. So I can't bring Scottish cream out here. This recipe does call for half and half or milk. I'm going to use full on cream because I want moist, tender scones. And I did get the Kerrygold butter. It's Irish, but it is a different butter than we get out here into the United States. And you can tell immediately when you just start chopping it up into little bits, it creams differently. So this, I'm really excited for this. So I'm going to use a pastry cutter and just work the butter and the flour together until we get little bits. Can you do this with a food processor? Yeah, but it's not the same. The best scones are the ones that you make entirely by hand. My most memorable scone memory was when I went to Scotland several years ago. I kind of ran away from home for a week and a half. People knew where I was, but it was delightful. So here I am roaming around Edinburgh, the belt. I went around the belt all by myself, and I wanted to have a scone. And as I was walking down, I think it was Royal Mile High Street, I saw down one of the closest, the little alleys there was a tea room with scones. So I went in, and you know when you walk into a place that's completely empty, you kind of have a feeling of, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here? Well, that's the experience I had when I walked into this little tea room. It's kind of oddly laid out. It was skinny but kind of rounded, so you couldn't see the corners of the restaurant at all. But the proprietress and her helper was right there at the counter, so if I turned around and left, I would have felt equally as stupid. But I placed my order, went and sat down, pulled out my sketchbook because I always bring a sketchbook with me when I travel. I just like to draw pictures of what I'm seeing. It kind of helps me remember more about my experience, as well as write down little things that I've observed while I was out and about in the world. But the teenage girl, she brought me my tea and scone, and then she went and sat down 2 tables kitty corner from me, and then just stared at me. Don't know why. but she just sat and stared. So I'm just trying to mind my own business, drink my tea, nibble on my scone, and then about 30 seconds later, my lips and my tongue started to tingle and kind of go numb. And me, being me, immediately thought, oh my gosh, I've been drugged, I'm going to be kidnapped, thrown on a boat somewhere and live a life of eternal slavery. And so yeah, that went through my head for about 30 seconds, and then I calmed myself down going, you are a maroon, you're fine, just sit and enjoy your tea. But what I wish I had done was actually said hello to the girl and asked her about her life and her day, because that probably would have been way better of a story to tell you, her life, than me being a maroon in a Scottish tea shop. Okay, so my butter has been worked in, created this crumbly texture with my flour. It's just kind of like a biscuit. We don't want the butter to be melty. We want it to be cold butter. This is one of the only times when you have your ingredients cold, is because when that butter melts, the steam rises really quickly, and that's how we get our lift into our lovely goodness. And we do have, again, that baking powder for help as well, but again, you want these nice and tender. So next we are going to add our rough chopped almonds and our figs, and we're gonna get these all worked in together, kind of get them coated. We're going to add our lemon zest as well. Trade places here for a bit, because now we're going to work on our wet ingredients. That's the thing about the quick bread method. You've got your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients. So we're going to crack our 2 eggs. Try not to drop any shells in there. Get these blended up some. And we're going to add to this our cream, our teaspoon of vanilla. Ooh, we're just about the end of the vanilla. Remember to put that on the grocery list. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of our almond extract. Oh, it's about the end of that extract as well. It doesn't need to be super mixed. Now when I say mix these by hand, on occasion I have mixed them by hand. But I don't want to get flour and eggs in my fingernails. So I'm going to do this with a wooden spoon. But you're going to mix this up together. You're not going to muscle it very much, but you are going to mix it together until it forms your dough. And this can take a little bit, so be patient. Not aggressive, patient. So now it comes to the point where we're going to shape our scones. And there's a few different methods to do this. The one that I do most often is I get a lightly floured cutting board, pat them out into about a square shape, and then I can cut them into diamonds or triangles from there, lay them out. This recipe says to scoop them into little balls, so we're going to give that one a whirl today. This should make about 13 scones. I don't know if there's any real rhyme or reason unto which one may be better. I know if you scoop them, you're not handling them as much. But if you shape them into that square and cut them, you get them more evenly distributed. Or if you square them like triangles, you get a more uniform shape. 13. Why 13? You can't evenly space them at 13. Okay. So now we've got our scones all portioned out. We're gonna put them in the refrigerator for 30 minutes so that butter again can get nice and chilled, and that way when they bake, they don't ooze and spread, they get nice and tall. So we'll see you back here 30 minutes. As an aside, I think I'll stick with shaping them into a square and cutting them into triangles. Way easier. We have a couple of last steps to do before we put them in the oven. And one is to make sure they're fairly evenly spaced. We don't want them to bake together. And then we have a couple of tablespoons of milk, and we're just going to brush over the tops of them and then sprinkle them a bit with granulated sugar. And I did forget to mention while we were mixing that once you've got your basic scone dough put together, you can put whatever else you want for your flavorings in your mix. So one of my favorite combinations is candied lemon peel and dried cranberries. Another one is like crumbled goat cheese with some dill, or even some caramelized onions. So you can make your scones either sweet or savory. Then we'll if you're like me and have like a cinnamon sugar mixture you keep on hand for churros or whatever, you can sprinkle some cinnamon sugar over the top of these too. This is to give it a little bit of a crunch on the top. So these are gonna go into the oven for about 20 minutes. For 20 minutes, and here they go. Time to take them out. Oh, ooh, look at those. They're probably 1,000 degrees right now, but look how lovely and dreamy and caramelized, and they are on fire. But these are ready to go. So I'm going to let them cool a smidge, get my cup of tea ready to go, and we'll give them a taste here in just a second. If you can order it or go to your nearest British pantry, pick up some clotted cream. It will make all the difference to your scones and your English muffins and your crumpets. Oh, so good. But I've just whipped cream almost to death, not quite the butter stage. Or you can just use plain butter as well if you wanted to top them at all. So we are done with the baking. I have my cup of tea ready to go. My scones with my cream on top. Let's give this a taste. So excited. That fig is so chewy and jammy, but it's not too sweet, so it's perfect to go with your tea. I know, I don't add sugar or milk to my tea. Straight up as it goes, but this is lovely. So please give them a try. Tell me what you think. Also let me know if you put any other flavor combinations together. Also give a like and subscribe because that makes you know when we have more things posted, and we would like to see you again in the future. So have a good day, y'all. We'll see you next time. It's gonna be a lovely day.